So the passing away of Bhishma Dev in the presence of Lord Sri Krishna is a very big chapter. A lot of lessons in this. I won't be able to cover everything, but I'll cover a few aspects of this pastime which can be more relevant to the practicing sadhakas, uh, in their journey in Krishna consciousness. So hopefully that would help. So Om Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vradadana Randana Yamuna Tira Manachari. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Thank you. So in the how the chapter flows is when Krishna finishes, when Battle of Kurukshetra is finished, Kunti Maharani is offering the prayers to the Lord, beautiful prayers in the 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when the beautiful prayers, and when those Krishna responds to those prayers with just a smile, beautiful smile. And our Acharyas explains that smile of the Lord as most mystic and mysterious smile. But that's how Krishna responds. And so they also write that a pure devotee of Krishna actually never expects anything in remuneration back other than the smile of the Lord, which removes the pure devotee's distress. Actually, pure devotee has no distress, but whatever so-called distress. So it removes all of them. So that's how it comes. Then Krishna, with that smile, actually acknowledges the service of the pure devotee. And it vanquished the distress, right, as I mentioned, by his beautiful smile. So when the Lord started to leave for Hastinapur, then immediately Yudhishthira Maharaj comes and requests the Lord with great love. He tries to stop the Lord and request the Lord to stay longer and give his association to the Pandavas. Now, Lord agrees to that beautiful request of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So that section itself has got a lot of lessons which can be had. So first I was thinking of taking that, but then I thought I've already said on Bhishma's pastime, so I'll skip that. So, but that acceptance of Yudhishthira Maharaj's request by Lord Sri Krishna shows that how pure devotees can control the Lord by their pure love and affection. And Lord agrees to that request fully. Although Lord is fully independent, He's Swarad, completely independent, nobody has a power to stop the Lord. But still, Lord accepts the requests of his pure devotees and binds himself within the desire, in the periphery of desires of his pure devotees. So actually, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibits that. So Krishna is exhibiting that by accepting Yudhishthira Maharaj's request. And Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also displays that in his pastimes when he is traveling to Vrindavan, and devotees stops the Lord by giving various reasons. That now look, my dear Lord Chaitanya, now the Rath Yatra is coming. Before that, the Gundicha Marjan and so many things, so many different pastimes. So then the Rath Yatra happens, then they request the Lord to stay further because they give the reason that now the monsoon season is there, you don't travel, so on and so forth. They give various reasons. And they stop the Lord. So Chaitanya Charitamrita explains that Swatantra Ishwar nahi nivaran, bhakta ichha vina Prabhu na karega man. So even though Lord Chaitanya is or Krishna is supreme, independently supreme personality of Godhead, nobody can stop the Lord. But bhakta ichha vina Prabhu na karega man. Uh, without the desire of, without taking permission or blessings of his devotee Lord Chaitanya, doesn't move out of Jagannath Puri and start traveling to Vrindavan. He takes the blessings of all his devotees. So here also we see that Lord gives in to the request of Yudhishthir Maharaj and stays for some more time. He ends up staying for 3 more months actually in Hastinapur. Sorry, yeah, in Hastinapur. Uh, uh, no, sorry, not in Hastinapur. Right at where Yudhishthir Maharaj was situated. So, so Lord is Swatantra, but he's Ishvara also at the same time. So he's Swatantra Ishvara. And that Lord, is bound by the love of his pure devotees. So Lord voluntarily, the Prabhupada writes in the purport that Lord Krishna voluntarily accepts the obligations by the loving affection of his pure devotee. So Lord is, even though he is Swatantra, but he becomes obliged by the love of his pure devotees. So that is being displayed by this pastime. So basically, Krishna accepts the obligation on his terms, not on the terms of a devotee. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, devotees, don't want to give up the association of the Lord. And Lord finally goes and requests them, Ramananda Rai and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, to please give him the permission so that he can travel. And then they come to realize that, look, we have bound the Lord beyond the time we could bound, so we should let him go now. So then Lord takes the blessings and some remnants of Jagannath Prasadam and he leaves Jagannath Puri for Vrindavan Yatra. So, so here Yudhishthir Maharaj was aggrieved like a common man, like a materialistic man, and he's taking the responsibility of all this massacre. Why? Because he does not feel that the citizens who Duryodhana was ruling were distressed. So he blames himself for all this massacre of Mahabharat war. And then there are the whole knowledge department at that time is available. Vyasdev was available at that time. So Vyasdev tried to convince Yudhishthir Maharaj and he cannot convince Yudhishthir Maharaj. And Lord Sri Krishna himself wants to, he wanted to console Yudhishthir Maharaj and he could not either. So now how come the controller of all the controllers cannot convince Yudhishthir Maharaj, and how come Vyasdev, who is personification of all knowledge, cannot convince Yudhishthir Maharaj? Was a very mysterious reason which Bhagavatam explains as Adbhuta Karmana. This is the mysterious pastimes of the Lord, how he is convincing Yudhishthir Maharaj externally, and internally as Paramatma is telling Yudhishthir Maharaj not to get convinced. Because he wants because he wants to have Yudhishthir Maharaj be spoken by Bhishma Dev and glorify Bhishma Dev. So Krishna is performing this Adbhuta Karmana. The activities or his actions which are very, very adbhut, never seen before, never heard before. So Bhagavatam goes deep into those pastimes. So here Krishna is actually proving, is proving himself incapable actually of convincing Yudhishthir Maharaj and making another of his pure devotee, proving that his pure devotee is more capable than he himself. So the Lord is proving his incapability to convince Yudhishthir Maharaj and proving his devotee's capability much more than his own to convince Yudhishthir Maharaj, who is aggrieved, who's taking responsibility of this Mahabharat massacre. So that shows how Bhaktavatsal is Krishna, how glorious is the Lord who loves his devotees and always wants to glorify his devotee more than he himself. So this section, so in 1846 purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that because Krishna desired that the king, Yudhishthira Maharaj, hears the instruction from dying Bhishmadev, who was another great devotee of the Lord wanted that at the last stage of his material existence, the great warrior Bhishmadev see him personally and see his beloved grandchildren, Yudhishthira Maharaj, etc. So this is why Krishna's activity become Adbhuta Karmana. And also by having Bhishmadev enlighten Yudhishthira Maharaj. He wanted Bhishmadev to enlighten Yudhishthira Maharaj. Krishna announced the glories of Bhishmadev by announcing that, look, my devotee has got more knowledge of Bhagavad Dharma than any other sage who was available in that assembly, including Vyasdev. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj was being convinced of his lamentation, there were every type of sages, all pure devotees were there. Vyasdev, Narad Muni, Krishna himself was standing right there. And the preaching of the Bhagavad Dharma was being done by Bhishmadev because Krishna desired so. Krishna desired that my pure devotee be proved that he is the one who knows more than anybody of us, so that he can be glorified. His glories can be known. And another reason was because Bhishmadev fought on the wrong side. That was also Lord's desire, but from worldly point of view, a lot of people ask this question: why Bhishmadev fought on the wrong side? When how can he be a Bhagavad Dharma pracharak if he fought on the wrong side? So Krishna is proving that his devotee is glorious. So having more knowledge of Bhagavad Dharma than that of sages and Vyasdev and even himself. So, and further Krishna wanted to make his pure devotee Bhishma. Third reason is Krishna wanted his pure devotee Bhishma to be very happy and blissful. Why? So that Lord can give him his darshan, sakshat, standing right in front of him while he is coming to the last leg of his life to leave the body. So Krishna wanted to make Bhishmadev very happy and blissful and give him darshan at the time of death. So here Krishna is also proving that how the Lord gives credit, how the Lord gives credit to his devotees, right? How the Lord gives credit to his devotees. So this is another beautiful quality which the Lord his quality is being highlighted here is the Lord delights to give credits to his devotees. Lord does not keep the credits to himself. He delights to give the credits. So the mentality or consciousness of not taking the credit but giving it to the others is displayed by the Lord himself. Right? So, and this quality of giving credits to others is actually, when we give credits to others, Krishna is very pleased. Krishna is very pleased by this, by us giving, taking the blessings of the Vaishnavas and giving them the credit of the work which we end up doing, and all we do is take the blame. That's the consciousness which Krishna is exhibiting here. How Yudhishthira Maharaj was taking the blame, right? So the Lord is giving the credit to Bhishmadev, and this is very pleasing to him. And that's why Lord is called Sarva Saundarya Sangraham. Lord is the collection of all the beautiful things in all the creation, both material and spiritual. Sarva Saundarya Sangraham. Sarva Saundarya means all beauty. So one of the main beautiful characteristics of the Lord, of course, is his form, but more than that is his ability to give credit to his devotees. That comes into Sarva Saundarya Sangraham. And that's the most, as Acharyas explained, that's the most important aspect of Krishna's beauty. In the Mahabharata war, so that's why Krishna says in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it says, Tasmat tvam uttikshta yasho labhasva, tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labhasva. O Krishna, O Arjuna, get up, yasho labhasva, take this fame and labhasva, the gain. Take this righteous kingdom, flourishing kingdom now. Take up this. I mean, of course, he hasn't fought the war yet, but Bhagavad Gita was spoken before the war. So then it says, Jitva Shatrum Bhunakshva Rajyam Smardham. Maya Vite Nihita Purvam Eva Nimitta Matra Bhavam Savyasachi. Oh Arjun, get up and take this flourishing kingdom. And go and Jitva Shatrum, go and win over your enemies. Why? I have already made all your enemies dead already. All the enemies are already gone, are already dead. Their lifespan is reduced almost to zero. All you have to do is fight and take the credit. Nimitra Matra Bhavam Savyasachi. So the Lord delights in giving credits to his devotees. And he's exhibiting that right from Bhagavad Gita, beginning of Mahabharata itself. So the lesson is, if we run after the credits, what will we get? If we run after credit, what will we get? Misery. So when we do our seva or we do our work, our actions, then we don't have to run after credits. If credit comes to us, then it will come to us by the blessing of the Lord. If we run after credits, all we are going to get is misery. So, but conditioned soul sometimes takes time to purify of this anartha. But these pastimes do exhibit this. So now, after that, when the Lord accepts the request of Yudhishthira Maharaj, now he stays back, and the passing away of Bhishmadev in the presence of Lord Krishna, that pastime happens. Now this pastime is split into 6 to 7 different sections. We will try to cover 1 or 2 sections only. So primarily the way this chapter is split is Bhishmadev. So the Lord wants, so everyone comes and wants to take darshan of Bhishmadev when he is leaving his body. How he receives the guests at that time. Great teachings can be learned from that. Then how Bhishma Dev pacifies and encourages Pandava is another section. How he pacifies the Pandavas, because Pandavas have got great attachment to Bhishma Dev and vice versa. So when the Pandavas comes fully dressed up, the Lord tells the Pandavas to come up fully dressed up in front of Bhishma Dev in their chariot, so that he can see them, especially Yudhishthira Maharaj, he can see him as a king of this whole planet. So then Pandavas listen to the Lord, they dress up, they come in their full chariot, bedecked with all the white horses. When they come in front of Bhishma Dev, his emotional attachment to Pandavas intensify. And before even Pandavas could say something, they have their love of Bhishma Dev, the love of the grandfather in their eyes. But Bhishma Dev starts speaking without even Yudhishthira Maharaj asking question. So he starts pacifying the Lord. So one of the things in the verse, in the beginning verses, how the religious principles can be adjusted. It's in the 4th verse how Bhishma Dev receives various devotees in his mental state, because in a physical state he is on the bed of arrows, and he hardly can move, and each and every inch of his body is filled with pain. Right? You can imagine if you have arrows in all over your bodies, we get little prick of a pin and we feel so hurt. Imagine you have arrows pierced all over your body. What will be your condition? Right? So the Bhagavatam describes, Prabhupada's purport describes that Bhishma was not able to offer the Sakshat Dandavat Pranam to all his guests who came to see him, but with his sound mind, through his sound mind, sound words, and his hearty expressions, he could win over the heart of all the guests who came to see him. So sound mind, sound word, and hearty expressions. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that hearty expressions means that means what we should learn is how we should welcome our guests in our ISKCON centers, with a hearty expression, because expressions reaches the public first before the words. So the expression reaches, your expression counts a lot than your words. Of course, words follow the expressions. So Bhishma Dev displayed that how with sound mind, how with sound words, and how with hearty expressions you could win over your guests. So without going much into detail, I will go further. So he adjusts the religious principles and speaks further. Then, so the hearty expressions actually can be seen in one of the Krishna's pastime by Bahulashva and Shrutadeva. So these are two very wonderful devotees of the Lord. One is a poor Brahmana, another is a king. And how they both receive the Lord when Lord personally goes to see each one of them. So how by their hearty expressions they can conquer the heart of the Lord. So you can read those pastimes, Bahulashva and Shrutadeva. So how to adjust religious principles is a topic of that particular shloka. Then observe. So what we will focus today is how observing and responding to calamity positively. Because as a progressive devotee in our life, we get setbacks. When something wrong goes with us, either we lose a job or you go for a health checkup and all of a sudden we come to know that we have a cancer or we have this or that, or somebody loved one in our family has passed away, or so many different things can go wrong in somebody's life, which is calamity. So how do we define calamity? I wrote a definition of calamity. So like an instant which happens abruptly, unexpectedly, and at the least expected time, which puts you in a shock, which derails your normal life, is calamity, right? Which may put you, which in that situation you may put all your best effort, but still you cannot fix it. You cannot fix it. It's beyond your control. That I will define it as a calamity. So it's beyond. So in other words, it's beyond your scope, right? As IT people, when you do projects, you always put the statement of work and you say, this ABCD is in the scope, and you say EFGH is out of scope, Prabhu. Oh, Mr. Client, you have to pay more if you want to get the other things done. So similarly, calamity is beyond your scope. You cannot do anything about it. So how do one react and respond and observe this calamity is part of this section of Bhishma Dev's pastimes. So sometime in our life, a devotee sudden turn of event happens, right? Sudden turn of event happens in devotee's life. Sometime a devotee may even leave devotional path. You may all of a sudden see one devotee coming to your center, and all of a sudden he stops coming for years together. And he even switches off his cell phone. You can't find him, and he relocates and doesn't even tell you. Then all of a sudden you go like, "Arey, yesterday I saw him, what happened to him now?" Then you found out that something really went wrong in his life, and he even stopped chanting, and he's forget chanting. He doesn't even want to do anything with devotees. I'm sure you have found those cases, or you might have found yourself in those circumstances also. So why it happens, especially these events can be pain-producing events, right? Like in the case of Pandavas, somebody may ask, hey, Pandavas went to forest, their kingdom was taken away, their wife was insulted, and there were a lot of attempts on their lives. They were put into the Lakshagraha, they were given poison, everything was done to them. And they were sent to 12 years of exile. So then somebody starts this question, why do devotees suffer? Why do devotees suffer? If devotees suffer like this, the way Pandavas are suffering, I don't want to do bhakti. So devotees, when they read these pastimes, and somebody asks them this question, they get bewildered as to what is happening with the devotees. So normally people think that if you are very pious, if you are a very pious person, then nothing will go wrong with you. How many of you have that feeling? That if you are pious, then nothing will go wrong with you. Or if you are chanting Hare Krishna, everything will be fine. How many of us believe that? You can unmute and say that. Haribol?
Yes, please follow.
You feel like if I am pious, or a lot of people come to religion because of that only. If you are pious, then you will be fine. Nothing will go wrong with you.
At least we want that way.
Yeah.
Yes, Guruji. When we are doing bhakti, it's very hard to accept anything negative.
Yeah. So that is why people become religious. A lot of people become religious because they do good deeds so that nothing go wrong. right? They think that if one is godly or saintly, then one will not suffer. But here we see a completely different story. Pandavas who are such pure devotees of the Lord are suffering like anything. Everything is taken away from them. So why do devotees suffer? In this section, one of the main things people want to know is that we want to find out is why do devotees suffer? There are multiple reasons why devotees suffer. Are you interested to know why devotees suffer?
Sure, Prabhu.
Okay. So one of the good news is, let me give you the good news first, then the bad news. So the good news is, that's why they say, you want to hear good news first or the bad news? Everybody says good news first. So the good news is that when a living entity comes to the point of Guru Padashraya, when he has, when he has Krishna, Sadhu Shastra Krishna Yadi Krishna Unmukh hai, Sahi Jeev Nistare Maya Tahar Chudai. So if somebody becomes favorable to Krishna consciousness and has decided to take shelter of a guru, a spiritual master, Guru Padashraya, then immediately at that moment, Krishna takes his sinful reactions away. Actually, he makes his karma zero, good and bad both, not just bad, good also. Okay. So, but for a practical reason, we'll take it because people wants to know why devotee is suffering. They don't want to know why devotee is getting all material opulence. Prabhu, that is okay. That is welcome. But why they are getting a problem is what I want to know. So for that purpose, we will take only this part of karma called sinful reactions. Okay. So at that time, Krishna makes the sinful reaction of that practicing devotee zero. Okay. Now, even if you are a neophyte stage, it's not that when you become pure, your karma will become, your sinful reaction will become zero. No, even at the neophyte stage, your sinful reaction are immediately zero. Now, Krishna keeps that sinful reaction with himself. And the devotee is walking on the path of devotional service. Now, if the devotee goes here and there and breaks some regulative principles and again engages in sense gratification here and there again, then Krishna releases that little sinful reaction to teach him and bring him back on the path properly. So that is one reason why devotees suffer. Okay, karma, because the proof is karmani nirdharti kintu cha bhakti bhaja. So devotional service, the sinful reaction becomes zero at the beginning itself. Okay, this is how powerful bhakti is. We don't come into bhakti to nullify our sinful reactions, but it is a fringe benefit. It's a side benefit of doing bhakti. And Prabhupada gives this, and this is substantiated by Prabhupada's purport also in Bharat Maharaj Akhyan and Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada writes, Prabhupada writes like this, willful neglect on the part of Bharat Maharaj led him to get a slap of Maya. What was the slap of Maya on Bharat Maharaj? A deer body. He got in the next birth the body of the deer because he got attached to the deer. But Prabhupada writes, willful neglect on the part of Bharat Maharaj. So Bharat Maharaj actually willfully neglected it. Because Paramatma was telling Bharat Maharaj from within the heart, do your sadhana, do your regular devotional service, do your swadhyaya. But Bharat Maharaj was too attached and he became slackened. He slackened. He started slackening in his religious principles. He started slackening in his religious principle. So, and he got too much absorbed with the deer and he got a deer body. But Krishna was so merciful to him. Because of the devotional service performed by him, he remembered his previous life as in the deer body. He remembered his previous life as a devotee, and then determined to become a proper devotee. And then in the next birth, he became as a Jad Bharat, and then performed pure devotional service. So that is a proof that Krishna gives that sinful reaction if somebody is deviating from his religious path. Okay. So one reason for suffering is this. Okay. Another reason for suffering of a devotee is if you take an axe and cut the sandalwood tree, what comes out? Little response. I want responsive audience. So when you cut a tree, sandalwood tree with an axe, what comes out?
You will get that and a strong fragrance.
Strong fragrance of
Maybe
sandalwood.
also comes.
So similarly, the Lord wants to show that his devotees are very glorious. If they are put, like for example, Amrish Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Pandavas, Parikshit Maharaj, that my devotees are so glorious that if they are put into difficulty, their sublime qualities will shine. Like a gold, when it goes through the fire, it shines. So Krishna chooses his devotees and creates difficult situations around them to glorify, so that devotees' sublime qualities can be highlighted and people glorify the devotees. Okay. So that is another reason. Like for example, okay, Janmashtami is coming. Everybody celebrates Janmashtami very nicely, but they forget that Vasudeva and Devaki, mother and father of Krishna, suffered so much. How many suffering they went through when Kamsa came in their life, and Kamsa was about to chop off Devaki's head. In a second, he took his sword and he was about to chop the head of Devaki. And Vasudeva had only few seconds to preach the message of Bhagavad Gita to Kamsa. Here we have 1 hour, everybody is sitting on Zoom and preach. But there, Vasudeva preached in such a situation where his wife's life was at danger, and he had only few seconds to preach Kamsa, which changed, actually that preaching of Vasudeva changed Kamsa's mind, and he spared the life of Devaki. And then Devaki and Vasudeva had to go through so much of pain, and then he agreed to give his children to Kamsa to kill when the Akashvani happened. So 6 children died in front of his own. That is Janmashtami. Then Krishna took birth. So the devotee had to suffer so much. But then Krishna is proving, then look, my devotees are so glorious. That's why their pastime is in Srimad Bhagavatam. And then they have became mother and father of the Lord. So becoming mother and the father of the Lord is not easy. It's not an easy thing. They have to suffer so much. Okay. So Krishna wants to prove that his devotees are glorious. That's another reason why devotees suffer. It may look like they're suffering. Another reason, third reason the Lord puts his devotees in difficult situation is because Lord wants to sometimes perform the pastime with his devotees. That's why he puts them into difficulties also. He wants to perform pastimes with his pure devotees. Because when the devotees are in difficulty, they call out the Lord, and then the Lord appears. So, right, Vasudev's name is Shauri. Shauri means, very brave person. Vasudeva actually till that point never fought a war, but his name was given Shauri. Why? Because he went through such a difficult situation when he saw the children being killed in front of his eyes. But he had a faith. He had a faith that Krishna will appear. So he was calling out the Lord. He was calling out to the Lord because the Lord wants to do pastimes with his devotees. So when the devotees call out to the Lord, Lord appears. That is another reason why devotees go through the suffering. Okay, like Arjuna. So Arjuna, Lord is seeking opportunities to exchange loving relationship with his devotees all the time. You know, Duryodhan when he saw Krishna on the as a charioteer of Arjuna, he was sarcastically asking Krishna, "Oh Govinda, oh hey, oh Dwarika, King of Dwarika, oh Krishna." You know, when you are in Dwarika, everybody is saying, hey Govinda, but here you are as a chariot driver of Arjuna. You are a driver. Don't you feel ashamed? That's what was his question to Krishna. You know how Krishna answered? Virgin County devotees. How did Krishna answer to that question of Duryodhana?
He gave a glance and just smiled.
He just smiled. And what did that smile meant? It meant, oh Arjuna, oh Duryodhana, how will you understand this? Why will I not become a driver of my such pure devotee like Arjuna? Not only that, I will become a servant of my devotees, servant also. And this Krishna proved in the war of Mahabharata by taking care of the horses of Arjuna's chariot. Krishna was serving the horses of Arjuna's chariot because horses was giving service to Arjuna. And so Krishna was serving not only Arjuna, but Arjuna's servant also, which was horses. By giving them water, by giving them grass, by massaging horses' legs. Krishna was massaging horses' legs. So not only Krishna becomes servant of his devotees, Krishna becomes servant of his servants also. This is how glorious is Lord. So these are the three reasons how, and what happens more importantly, when it is a difficult situation, then Lord and his devotees, Lord Krishna and his devotees in a difficult situation, when they are next to each other, another thing which wonderfully happens is their relationship becomes very thicker. Between Lord and his devotee, the relationship becomes very thick. So similarly, you will find that in difficult situation, if two people are doing a project and their goal is common, then their relationship will become very thick. Husband and wife's relationship becomes very thick if they are attacking a difficult problem together. You can see that. So this is proves that Lord relationship with devotees become thicker when they come closer in difficult situations. Like how Parikshit Maharaj, how Prahlad Maharaj became closer to Narsingadev, because in a difficult situation when he was calling out the Lord. Similarly, Parikshit Maharaj was about to die in 7 days. When he heard Bhagavatam, after hearing the glories of the Lord, his distance between him and the Lord kept narrowing every day. And at the later stage, he became so much one with the Lord. One not means one like a flesh, but their heart became one. And when they became one, Parikshit Maharaj conquered the death. Parikshit Maharaj boarded the plane to Vaikuntha. Later on, Takshak came and bought the dead body of Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj went to Vaikuntha before even Takshak could even bite the Lord's Parikshit Maharaj's body. This is how Krishna glorifies his devotees. If we understand this concept of Bhagavatam, then we can apply that in our life. And if difficult situation come, we always then will take. So So let's go forward. I don't want to steal the thunder, but I'll give you the last 3 words of this pastime, which will. How much time we have, Prabhu? I don't know. I don't want to keep going, but.
A couple of minutes is fine. We can take questions and answers.
Okay. So, okay. So, yeah, so that when you try to solve the Lord's problem, Parikshit Maharaj story I told you. So it was Lord Krishna's plan when Parikshit Maharaj heard Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah. Then he conquered the death. So Pandavas suffered, but Bhagavatam explains that Bhishma Dev says that you don't deserve to be alive, because how can you suffer? Because you are Dharmaraj, and Bhima is power personified, and management personified is Nakul and Sahadev, and skill personified is Arjuna, and Lord is present on top of it. Lord is present with you. Lord is present with you. How can you suffer? Then he says it is nothing but inevitable time. And he says you are able to save yourself because you took shelter of 3 things. What are those? Vipra, Dharma, Achyuta Ashraya. You took shelter of Vipra, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas. You had devotees in your life. You had Brahmanas in your life. You always took instructions from Vaishnava and Brahmanas. So you were able to survive. Second, you were able to survive is you were able to follow your dharma properly, which is your religious duty. And third thing, you were able to survive, O Pandavas, is because you took shelter of Krishna. Achyuta Ashraya. Dharma, Vipra, Achyuta Ashraya. So if we are in a difficult situation, which we are always in this material world, tell me if you are not. Who agrees with me? Everybody agrees with me? So then 3 things we have to do. Always take shelter of Vipra, Dharma, Achyuta Ashraya. So if we do take shelter of these 3, then what will happen? Then you take shelter of these things, you will develop. What do you develop? You develop spiritual strength. What is our dharma? What is our religious principle? Chant 16 rounds. Observe 4 regulative principles. Read Prabhupada books. Hear Vaishnavas, Bhagavad Katha. So these are the 4 religious principles we have to follow. Right? If we don't follow this, we give up the dharma like Bharat Maharaj did. Even though there is a calling from within the Paramatma heart, okay, look, follow your religious principle, do your rounds properly, hear Bhagavatam, read Prabhupada books, hear lectures in difficult time, and take association of devotees, hear from Brahmanas, try to serve, not try to, serve Vaishnavas, serve, so serve Vaishnavas, follow your dharma, follow your religious duties, and take shelter of Krishna in every situation. So you will develop spiritual strength. Now, what will happen when I develop spiritual strength? When I develop spiritual strength, I get determination. Utsaha, Nischaya, Dharya. Nischaya. I develop determination. And when I develop determination, then I can perform my bhakti. But if I don't take shelter of Dharma, Vipra, Achyuta Ashraya, then I lose spiritual strength. So to give me one example, those devotees who have heard me will know the answer. But so tell me one character which did not have, he did not commit any fault, but he was imposed with a lot of difficult situation. It was not his fault, and he did take shelter of these 3. It will be difficult, but okay, let's say Vidura. Vidura was thrown out of the palace by Duryodhana. So when Vidura was thrown out of palace, he took shelter of Maitreya Muni. Maitreya Muni, he heard from Maitreya Muni. So Brahmana, association with Vipra. Then he performed his religious duties by doing his Gayatri properly, by bathing in the river Ganges, by hearing Krishna Katha, absorbing his mind, and so Vipra, then he follows his dharma and Achyuta Ashraya. So he was mentally sound, so he could carry on his duties. So these three things are the take home. So all pure devotees supposed to go through such difficult situations or circumstances. All this will be answered in the next 5 to 6 verses. So that's the next 5 to 6 verses is another topic which we can take any other time. But I will stop here, and please add or subtract, and all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to all the Vaishnava devotees, all glories to ISKCON Virgin County, all glories to Prabhupada. And please forgive me for any mistakes, and please feel free to correct them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wonderful class. Nice examples. Such, you explained it in such a simple way. Thank you very much. So let's open the floor for any questions. If devotees have any questions, they can type in the chat box or just raise your hands and go ahead and ask the question.
I think 2 hands are up. Bhavya Bhagwan and Suhrit.
Bhavya Bhagwan Prabhu, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhupada, Namo Prabhupada Guru Maharaj.
Hari Bol, Hari
Can we say that the devotees also suffer because of Vaishnava Aparadh? We see that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how when that devotee got leprosy when he had offended devotees. So can we say that when we offend devotees, then also we get sufferings? Is the right understanding, Prabhu?
Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you offend devotees, your bhakti will be finished, actually. If you offend devotees, your bhakti will be finished. Maharaj says that Tumhare Hriday Sada Govinda Vishnam, Govinda Kahinam or Vaishnava Pran. So if you offend devotees, your bhakti will be finished. That is what is exhibited in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But typically, so one of the things is actually, it's a little complicated subject matter of Vaishnava Aparadh, but your bhakti mein taste nahi aayega. You will lose the taste in bhakti. It will look like a burden. Bhakti will look like a burden. Oh, I have to do this, Prabhu, because my Guru Maharaj said this. If you are a little careful, then if you want to get a taste and you're not getting a taste, that means that. But normally these are the 3 reasons why what is classified as why devotees suffer. Now, in the first circumstances, because you are not following the path of bhakti properly, so you will get the reaction, as I mentioned in the first place. So that first reason what I explained may include that also, but
Probably because we get some like health related suffering, so that way we cannot do bhakti like can we say like that?
No, I don't want to whimsically say there has to be a praman. So the point here is that if you're practicing bhakti and if you don't follow the path properly, which includes chanting offenselessly as much as possible, or at least not criticizing devotees, then you will get the reaction. Then Krishna will teach you the reaction. So what will happen is you will actually, because of some Vaishnava Aparadh, you will get stuck in your bhakti progress. You will get stuck. You will not be able to go beyond some point. It may happen in your next life also. So Srimatam,
Suchinam
Srimatam Geva Yoga Bhasta Vijayate. So you may be able to continue your bhakti in your next lives, but you may get stuck at some point. you're not going to go beyond certain point because of some Vaishnava aparadha. So that's an obstacle. Yeah, definitely. So
Thank you,
Maharaj
Guruji.
explains that in his book. So first and foremost impact will be you will lose taste in bhakti. And if you do severe offenses, you will finish. You're done.
Hare Krishna. Surat Gaur Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhamma Pranam.
Haribol, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, such are the glories of Bhishma Dev, and he is such a great devotee. So why was he on the other side in the battle and fighting against Krishna?
Who? Bhishma Dev?
Yes,
Bhishma Dev, why he was fighting on the other side?
yes, yes. Why was he not with on the side of Pandavas, or in the other instances also when Kauravas were betraying Pandavas, then also he didn't said anything.
Okay. So this can be seen from two angles. So first angle is internal reason is it was, of course, he was a devotee of the Lord. He's a Mahajan. He's a Mahajan because he preached the path of religious principles. So he is a Mahajan. Now Krishna wanted to also show the world that if my devotee fights on the wrong side also, then the religious principles will win. Religious principle will win. But that does not make him as an unpure devotee. He's playing the part, negative part. He's playing, his emotions externally from the fight perspective are negative towards because he has been taken care by the Pandavas, right? By the Kauravas. He was too much, he was very stringent. Prabhupada writes in the purport, actually, he said, stern Vash. He's a stern devotee, stringent devotee. He was very, very hard in his rules and regulations. His vows, he was very hard on his vows. Krishna broke his vows, but he was very hard on his vows. And he was very, very particular about religious principles. So because of which some decisions went wrong in his life. He could not take some right decisions, especially the turning point of Draupadi. But that did not hinder his devotional service in any aspect. It did not make him an unpure devotee or anything. Like Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma, when he created, Lord Brahma initially got attracted to his own daughter and ran after him, Vak. Her name was Vak. But Brahmaji immediately realized it and checked it, and that did not hamper his ability to establish religious principles. That's why these are great personalities, right? So like that. So that's why in Mahajana you have Swambhu, Narado, Shambhu. Swambhu, Narado, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapilo, Manu, Janaka, Prahlado, Bhishma, Bali, Vyasaki, Vayam. So these Mahajans are there because they establish religious principles. Actually, there are so many other Mahajans. You have Hanuman, Gopis, Uddhava, these are all Mahajana. But their name is not specified because they never preached religious principles. So Bhishma Dev preached religious principles. So he happened to fight on the other side. That is why Krishna wanted to glorify Bhishma, because he did not want the world to misunderstand his devotee also, because his devotee is always glorious. And that too is pure devotee. So Krishna took the responsibility. He broke his vow. He let the devotee keep his vow. Bhishma Dev kept his vow. even though some of his vows which he kept was wrong. Like, for example, he would have married, when Satyavati came, he would have married and had children. But, when two of his the brothers died, Vichitravirya and Chitrangada, when they both died, he should have married. But he did not. He told Satyavati, look, I cannot marry. Then Vyasdev has to come and, continue the, the family further. And then that's how you had Shantanu and Pandu. Sorry, Pandu and Dhritarashtra. Sorry. Otherwise, if he was flexible, he would have married and, but he was so particular on his vow. So anyway, so that's why Prabhupada writes in the purport, stern devotees. So Vaishnavas also come in different flavors. Vaishnava is not, of course, Trinadapi Sunichena Tarore Vasaishnana, but their flavor may be different. Like ice cream has different flavors. Vanilla ice cream, pineapple, mango, so on and so forth. Somebody likes vanilla, somebody likes pineapple. So Vaishnava also comes in different flavors. So another flavor of Vaishnava is Bhishmadev. Little strong, little rigid, So these pastimes are actually very deep. It tells you various flavors of Vaishnavas, how when we encounter different people, how we should not become one stereotype. Oh, Vaishnava is like this only. Vaishnava is because of different flavor also. So you have to accept that. You have to see through his life, his actions. Okay, Prabhu. So there's a broad answer. Krishna wanted him to fight on the other side. Krishna wanted to prove his glories. Krishna had his plans. And he himself, when he took the side of wrong side of irreligious, he knew that he's fighting, but he has attachment towards Pandavas. His attachment towards Pandavas never came through, came low. That is how Duryodhana also knew it. So he was igniting him, right? So you have to fight. So anyway, so these are the different, you can reconcile your question. I hope it helped you. I don't know if I was able to answer. But...
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Anyone else has a question?
One of the points I forgot to mention is, so when we become slackened, because we lose enthusiasm, right? When we become slackened in our sadhana, because we lose enthusiasm, that's why Rupa Goswami said, Utsaha Nischaya Dharya, right? So to do everything, you need Utsaha. So, so then we start saying, look, what is the use of being so pious? What is the use of being so pious when I'm getting all these difficulties in my life? So then one starts cribbing. One first tendency is they start blaming or cribbing, correct? So then one relaxes in his religious principles. So the moment we start cribbing, we become, start relaxing our religious principles. But it says that, so if we are always guided by the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, then we can pick up the strength. That is why the association is very important. So, so we can get over that mode, and come out of irreligious practices if you're guided by Vaishnavas. So one has to be, so that means one has to be one with the wish of the Lord. Rather, we forget. So when we are one with the wish of the Lord, we should not, how we are one with the wish of the Lord if we don't forget Lord in the difficult times. So that's why Vipra Dharma Achyuta. So if we do these three things, that will protect us and strengthen our devotional service. I find it very practical, these three things. You apply in your life, your devotional service will be on the next level. So that's it. That's my end of.
Thank you, Prabhu. So